Shoot.
We want Crochet. I mean, we want Montgomery now. Okay, can you bring him up?
I just work here.
Can you talk about his progress a little bit and where you think he's at?
Yeah, I think one of the main things to highlight, we can all agree, Colson struggled a little bit offensively this year for the first time in his career. You know, we've highlighted this before, but it's the first time. This will be, knock on wood here, his first full season of health at the minor league level as well, so there's that going on. I give him a lot of credit for the defense that he's played this year, despite, you know, us maybe perceiving him struggling offensively. He's played a very good defensive shortstop, which, as we can all agree, you know, at some point we're going to ask him to come to Chicago and play the shortstop position. That's a big deal. So yeah, he's, despite getting 5 hits in the last couple of days, he on the year he struggled a little bit offensively. But talking to Colson, and as I'm sure some of you guys have, he's still very open about talking about, you know, the fact that he hasn't performed as well as he knows he can, and he's still very intent on being a very good major league player, which obviously we are expecting that and fully supportive of him still at this point and all that. So I give him a lot of credit for how he's handled the first time that he's ever struggled, and you know, hopefully this will be the part of the process in him becoming completely ready to play at the major league level.
What are the criteria and the bars that you want him to hit?
You know, I think that's probably a slippery slope, trying to give, you know, exact criteria for, like, he needs to be hitting this average or have this OPS. I think that's, especially at this juncture in the season, that probably doesn't make a ton of sense. Understanding from an ability standpoint, he's proven in the past that he can hit, right? He can do some things that other people can't do offensively, and so we'll just continue to support him, continue to get him going in the right direction with regards to finishing the season healthy. Looking forward, you know, I mean, we're not done with the season this year. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility he gets hot and has the ability to play in the major leagues this year, right? But all that to say, like, I think we want to be really intentional about not being in a big rush with Colson. Like, I think it's important to realize, like, we need to do what's best for Colson, and you know, that's not necessarily black and white. We're going to obviously include him in that process with regards to communication, but he's unique just because we want him to be part of the White Sox for a long period of time, not just for, you know, this September or whatever.
If it's not stats-based stuff, what are some of the things outside of the box score that you are looking for him to improve on?
Yeah, like one of the things I highlighted, just mentioning the fact that he's showing up every single day, still working hard, still, you know, from a mentality standpoint, you know, still in a good place with regards to, yeah, I understand I'm not playing as well as I know I can. That being said, like, you know, he knows he's a good player. He knows he wants to be a good major league player. Like, the fact that he's, you know, had some offensive struggles in Charlotte, I think, again, we've said this before, but I think we will look back and highlight it as a positive.
What did you take away from Hagen's first start on Saturday night?
That he's good. No, I've been really impressed with Hagen, getting to interact with him in Arizona, you know, kind of in person. Obviously, he's from Texas, so we've got some common ground there with regards to, you know, just talking about certain things. But again, with him, it's a big picture thing, right? Like, he's obviously new to the organization, just got drafted this year. Overall long-term health and durability at this point is going to be the difference between him being really, really good and us, you know, being frustrated with him from the standpoint of injury. So, like, that's the main thing at this point. Get him, you know, accustomed to the pro schedule. He's obviously at Winston right now. He's going to pitch a few times there to end the year, and we'll see what that holds in terms of, like, planning his offseason leading up to next spring training, again, for the buildup of not just for next year, but for the next, you know, call it 5, 6, 7 years.
Does he have enough connection with you to talk his way out of pitching for the Barons playoff round?
Well, he does have enough to start the conversation. I just don't know that we're going to go there just yet this year. But for him, again, controlled environment, just with regards to getting him a few outings at the minor league level, so that just from the standpoint of understanding the schedule and what it looks like and what it feels like. And at the end of the day, getting to know some of the other guys in the organization, I think that's beneficial too.
Philosophically, you know, the White Sox have always had some good luck bringing pitchers through the organization and then putting them in the bullpen. What's your philosophy about starting pitchers and bringing them through bullpens to get experience?
Yeah, I guess my philosophy would be, you got to make them prove that they can't start, right? Like, starting pitching at the major league level is a very expensive commodity. So in theory, you're hoping that they can start, and you're going to make them prove that they can't. So, you know, like, obviously we're talking about Hagen. I can say with confidence we hope that he's a part of the rotation at some point in the near future. So I think if we're talking about philosophy, you hope that they can start. You keep them starters as long as they can until they kind of show you that they can.
Coach Schultz, just what stood out to him, to you about him?
Yeah, so I think outside of the fact that he's had a very successful year statistically, I think he's developed a lot just from, he obviously started the year in Winston, he's going to finish in Birmingham. The personality, so to speak, getting along with teammates. Noah's not a super vocal guy, and that's okay, but he's become much more comfortable, in the clubhouse environment, which has been very evident. And I mean, the biggest thing for him also is just the health this year, knock on wood. You guys continue to try to set me up for failure here, but hopefully we can get through the last little bit of the season with Noah healthy. He's had a great year. He's done exactly what he needed to do. And again, getting with him and being real specific about the off-season program leading into next year to just continue to be ready to up the workload.
He's a guy who hasn't pitched into the fifth inning as a pro. What sort of innings based is he going to need as he moves towards the big leagues?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think this year that was intentional, right? He was only going to throw 4 innings every outing, and again, long-term plan, right? Like the preparation to set him up for success over the course of time. I mean, the funny thing is, him and Hagen are the same age, but physically they're built different, right? And I think Noah, we can all agree, he's still developing, right? Like he's throwing strikes, he's throwing his breaking ball for a strike, he's getting, relatively speaking, high-level hitters out. But I think it's very safe to say he's going to be stronger in 2 years than he is right now, just physically, right? So like that's still part of his development, and I think that you couple that with understanding like he needs to be stronger to be able to endure what is more than 4 innings over the course of a major league season.
There can be an argument made, and everybody in your organization, management-wise, is important. There can be an argument made that your job is the most important of all.
I got somebody I need you to talk to.
I'll get you a raise. But with that notion, obviously we all know White Sox are going to be building from within. Do you embrace that just like you did as a ball player, that type of challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, and I think, to be transparent, it's at least since I've been here, and I think moving forward, it will be a very collaborative process. Like if we're talking about Noah or Hagen, obviously on the pitching side, or Colson or Ramos or Caleb Bonham, and fast forwarding into the future, Jacob Gonzalez on the position player side, it's not any one person making decisions. It's a bunch of us in the room talking about what we think makes the most sense. And having been on the player side, this has been very a unique experience to look at it from the other side. And I think having a player background actually is beneficial, right? Because we can agree, like, Bonham or George Wolkow as a high school draft pick at 18 years old is going to be different than one of our college picks or position come into play, all of that stuff. So it'll be a collaborative process moving forward, and at the end of the day, we're going to be in a position to give some guys some opportunities in all likelihood at the major league level and hopefully the near future. And I think at the end of the day, that's just an exciting part of this job.
With all those good minds in there like yours, could we assume there are lively conversations that don't always end with agreement?
Yeah, I mean, I think healthy discussions are good for everything. And again, like I mentioned earlier, a bunch of this stuff, like I wouldn't call it black and white. People are in different spots, and it's our job in some cases to push them, to the point of where they have to perform and they have to develop a little bit more and get a little bit stronger and those kinds of things. But I think I think all organizations will deal with that with regards to opinions and thoughts. And to be honest, I encourage them. Like if we're talking about our staff on the player development side, I encourage guys to share their opinions, right? In particular, affiliate staffs, when you have guys that are around these guys every single day for long periods of time, they do get to know them, not just physically, but also psychologically and all of those things. And there's a lot of those variables, I think, that come into play when you're talking about, long-term plans.
How soon are you expecting Edgar Quero back? What's kind of criteria for someone like him under consideration for college?
Yeah, no, I mean, Edgar's had such a good year, and he's such a good kid. I think a lot of him, and I've said before, like he's going to get the opportunity to play at the major league level, and I think he'll have success. But at this juncture of the season, like I think we just need to make sure that he's completely healthy. It doesn't sound like it's anything terrible or long term. I don't think he's done for the year or anything like that. But that being said, it just doesn't make a ton of sense to push him at this point. We're at the point in the season where if we did push him and he came back too soon and he got dinged up again, he's probably done for the year. So we're just trying to avoid that and see if we can get him back on the field here sooner than later.
I guess a similar question for Mason Adams. Like, he's obviously had a strong year, but do you want to get back on the mound? Or
We do, and he's thrown a couple IBPs, and he will likely pitch again, if not the end of this week and early next week in a game. So Mason's closer. He should be fine. Obviously, he's missed some time, so with regards to capacity workload in his first outing or two back, that might change a little bit, but he'll pitch again. Yeah, he's close.
Ramos is here. You get Vargas is on the roster now. Sosa's playing third base. There's multiple third base. I already see Bryan fitting in at the major league level.
Yeah. Did you guys see Grady downstairs?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Well,
Ramos is obviously he's here. The way that the lineup gets constructed at the major league level, I think, is day to day. It's exciting. I think if you guys are watching, right, Brian's been playing well here of late and hit a couple homers yesterday in the game, and so he's ready to go. And obviously after a slow first half of the season offensively, he's kind of picked it up.
the question maybe is how's he looked and why should he be here now?
Yeah, I think that under the circumstances, obviously Senzel's gone, so there's a roster spot available, and he was the guy that was the option on the roster and those kinds of things. But I think you'll see him get the opportunity to play a little bit more before the end of the year at the major league level.
Sorry, he seemed very proud to become an American citizen. It seemed like that meant a lot to him.
He was so fired up, and in addition to that, he graduated from our English program as well last year. He's just anybody who's had a chance to be around Bryan within our organization. He's just such an impressive kid, the kind of kid you root for. So I mean, he's an ambassador in a lot of different ways.
what have you seen from the last 4 starts in the streaming? How has he kind of progressed from that?
It's been good, man. Outside of the goofy outing where he gets thrown out on a stolen base, right? That doesn't happen that often. Give Nick a lot of credit. He has had 4 consecutive outings where he's been really good, and what I would call like pitching with conviction, confident body language, etc. And he's had good results. So I guess you could go as far as say like it looks like he's kind of righted the ship here of late and is pitching consistently. It's been really encouraging.
Well, maybe hasn't gone right for Jake Eater this year.
So, Jake pitched well in Birmingham, obviously, right? He was called up for a day for the doubleheader. It didn't work out in terms of getting on the field at the major league level. And again, to be transparent, he struggled since he's been in Charlotte, but he did have a good outing this last outing. I think at the end of the day, it's just been a little bit of control issues in Charlotte. In particular, early in the game, he's really struggled in the first inning, and that's something that we've talked to him about, and we'll continue to talk to him about. I will say, Jake, when you talk to him about it, it's not something that he's overly concerned about. It's very much take the ball the next time out and go about his business appropriately.
Going down your top 30 a little bit, Riku Nishida.
Yeah.
What interesting skill set you don't see across the board. What's his ceiling, and what do you kind of enjoy about watching him play?
He leads the league in personality. Number one is my favorite thing about him. But in terms of ceiling, that's a really difficult thing to say. What I will say is he's produced so far. I think he's leading the minor leagues in runs scored. He is infectious in a clubhouse, all that stuff. He plays a very good second base. He's versatile. He plays the outfield as well. It is a unique profile, right? Because he's not knocking the outfield wall down per se, but he is productive. And so, like, the name of the game is to score runs, and he's good at that. So just excited about him. I think he's having a great first full season, and I don't see any reason to not expect him to continue to do so.
Are you close enough to the end of the year to think about AFL options this week?
Yeah, we're definitely in those discussions. We haven't quite gotten there yet with regards to the final list, but yeah, we're definitely talking about that. And on the pitching side, it'll depend. There's some variables in play with regards to like how many innings you have during the season and that kind of stuff. We'll probably have those decisions made here in the next week, honestly. So once we do, we can probably share them with you guys and get that out there.
What excites you about some of the younger guys that you guys are able to acquire at the trade deadline, whether that's Bergola or Perez? Yeah.
So it's a couple things. Bergola is a little bit of dose of reality because I played with his dad. So excited about him. Good baseball player. He can play shortstop. You know, bat's a ball guy. Perez has played well in Cannapolis as well. Offensive profile. You know, not to pin any of those guys, but they're versatile infielders, so they're going to have the ability to play all over the infield, and we'll try to give them that over the next couple of years. Albertus hasn't played yet, but for somebody who hasn't played, he's been about as impressive as he can be, just from a makeup standpoint and like the work that he's doing in Arizona, albeit that he's hurt. But so excited about those guys, excited about the draft guys. Caleb Bonham has been really impressive in Arizona the past few weeks, both on the field and off. Again, like an intense kid that really likes to compete. He's a worker. You know, he's the kind of guy that you really want to end up being one of your best players.
And it probably asked you 3 weeks ago with Peyton Ballot, but you know, how do you balance maybe just potentially start again with a guy who can come out of the bullpen multiple innings is really valuable?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, and he's a great case study, right? Because I think we can all agree he didn't have great numbers as a starter this year, and then he's been completely lights out since he's gone to the bullpen. So for the rest of the year, he'll be in the bullpen. He'll be one that we discuss a little bit more extensively during the end of the off season in terms of like future plans going into next year, to give him the opportunity to build up if needed. But at the end of the day, like, it's just been really encouraging because he's been really good out of the pen, and he's in Birmingham now, obviously continuing to throw well.
You brought up Jacob Gonzalez. I think he's on a 7-game hitting streak. Really struggled Double-A. What do you kind of see him acclimating to?
Yeah, I think with Jacob too, it goes back to, we forget it's his first full season. Birmingham Southern League is hot, right? Like, it's a tough league to play in. It's difficult. I mean, I would argue for whatever reason it's always been a very talented league in terms of pitchers that are there typically, and so I think he's doing exactly what he needs to. He went through a little stretch where he struggled. Obviously, it looks like he's getting going. Hopefully, he'll be able to finish the season strong. But again, to give him credit, like, he's played really good defense. He's played every day, which again I place a lot of value on for a guy that you at some point want to come here and play. He plays every single day and he posts, so I value that.
How about Latin American development and your time spent? Obviously, there's going to be some changes around this year. How do you fit yourself in and out of that right now?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, philosophically, I think it's an avenue that, you know, a lot of organizations are utilizing now in order to, you know, depth of system and you know, those kinds of things. I know we're in talks hopefully to get a new facility down there, which is exciting. But I'm a believer just in general. I enjoy going down there. James can vouch. I speak just enough Spanish to be dangerous, so a really good dose of Spanglish. But I enjoy going down there. I think it's. We even talk about maybe taking some of our American guys down to the DR during instructs to, you know, just from a cultural, you know, sharing and understanding where some of their teammates come from, kind of thing. So moving forward, yeah, it will be a big part of what we're trying to do.
You touched on it, and that is, you know, with you know, the development of some of the players physically and mature-wise, but their English as well. It's kind of been a sore spot for some White Sox players coming through the organization. Is that something that you guys talk about?
Yeah, and so Aaron Santana is our, you know, kind of our English teacher liaison, so to speak, for the organization. He does a really good job with regards to, you know, helping guys adapt culturally, right? And so it's a bigger jump than we probably understand. Coming from Latin America, as let's just call it 17 or 18-year-old, you get put into the United States where there's, in a lot of cases, language barrier, and, you know, even going out to eat or going to the grocery store can become a difficult task at times. So to answer your question, I value it a lot. Like, I think it's a variable, especially in this current landscape where they've gotten rid of short season. You know, the jump from the ACL to low A, I think, is as big as it's ever been, in particular for a Latin guy that has only maybe been in the United States for a year in some cases. So anything we can do to help insulate those guys, support them, you know, make them more comfortable, etc., I think is beneficial, and that's one of the biggest things, helping them with the ability to communicate.
I don't think he's ever been on top prospect list, but Tim Elko did pretty well in Charlotte.
Yeah.
He's gotten his way all the way to this point. What do you kind of see his potential is?
Just excited about him. He's the kind of guy you want to. He just influences everybody around him so much. Like, you know, we talk about Riku in one way. Tim's kind of the same. He just makes everybody better. Like, he's a component of the clubhouse, which is, you know, hard to quantify, but glue guy, if that's what you want to call it. That being said, he's performing on the field. Talking about Birmingham again, it's a tough league. It's hot. He played well there. He's a really good defensive first baseman, which I think gets lost a little bit because he hits some homers. But he's playing well and controlling what he can control at this point in time.
What does the future hold for George Wolko?
I don't know. I'm excited about George. It's hard for me to convey to you guys how much he's shown us in just this short period of time with regards to the ability to adapt and taking information and apply it. He's a young guy. Physically, he's big and strong, and he's hit some balls in Kannapolis that are as impressive as anybody can do. But just excited. He's a good defender in the outfield. The thing I like about him is he's completely open. He just wants to learn. He wants to get good. He wants to he wants to play here. He wants to be in the big league. So he forewent a lot to go straight into professional baseball because he wants to be a major league player, which I think says a lot about the makeup. But he's just been impressive up to this point.
We all silly like the mayor.